Well done. You're set up for graduation. You're all set. You completed all of the classes. Well, we are going to move now into our recognition time. And this is a really sweet time that we get to take a few minutes to talk about each of our seniors. So as we begin, let me just remind our seniors, you've seen this happen in the past if you've been here. When your name is called, please stand up. Remain standing for the presentation of your recognition. At the end of that, there will be an applause. You can grab seats. We'll move on to the next person. We'll call their name, ask them to stand, and remain standing for their recognition. Okay? All right, I'm going to start this evening with a Mr. Matthew Studley. Matthew. Anyone who knows you well will agree with the statement that you are one of the most naturally brilliant young men that I have ever met. Your brain processes situations at a different level than those around you, which can sometimes frustrate you, but you rarely let others in on the secret. Instead, you approach life in a very humble and quiet manner. Matthew, I have chosen two character traits for you this evening. The first of which I believe is already a key part of who you are, and that's the character trait of flexibility. I believe this describes you well. Whether you're just holding in your opinion or you truly don't have a preference, your natural inclination is to allow others to do what they would like, regardless of how this may affect you. This trait draws others to you because they see someone who isn't focused on need, but rather you're willing to allow others to have input. The second trait I have chosen for you this evening is the character trait of reverence. I know that the Lord has great plans for you, Matthew. I know that. Your brilliance is a key that will allow you to access many opportunities in life that most of us wouldn't have the privilege to. The danger with being brilliant is that it can sometimes be tempting to believe that anything you achieve is based solely on your own merit. My prayer for you is that you will not only experience wonderful things in life, but that you will also be aware of how your Heavenly Father has orchestrated your life. Matthew, as you leave this place and head off to serve in the National Guard, I'm excited to see what you're able to accomplish. Allow those in command over you to speak into your life, to challenge you to be better than you ever thought was possible, and to help you become the man that you have always known, and that I have always known, and your parents have always known. Embrace this new chapter with vigor and with passion. I leave you with this verse from Psalms 128, verse 1. How blessed is everyone who fears the Lord, who walks in his ways. Up next is a Mr. Joshua Hawkins. Josh, where do I begin? Over the past 3 years, you and I have gotten to know each other really well. From varsity soccer to our weekly lunches. I've had the opportunity to chat with you about much of what you've experienced during your time in high school. Something that has truly amazed me about you is your ability to process information, formulate a desired outcome, anticipate a likely outcome, and also plan for worst-case scenario, all at the exact same time. While others may view your choices as sometimes whimsical decisions, I believe you are very intentional. Because of this, the character trait I have chosen for you is wisdom. I have chosen this because I see how much potential is inside of you. You are charismatic, engaging, and incredibly talented at so many things. But without wisdom, your choices will be merely a means to a fleeting experience, and they will not fulfill you or your desires. Don't let your ability to process a situation so quickly be a waste. Use this superpower to elevate and respond to life situations based on God's frame of reference rather than your own. One memory that I won't soon forget is you sitting on the locker room bench before our game against Westchester. You, with your Bible open, reading from the Word as a way to challenge our team before we took the field. I liken this to when Joshua or David would lead their men into battle. While I'm aware that they didn't have scripture in the same way that we do currently, I believe they would give their men a pep talk and challenge them before they would fight in the same way that you did. You have the same opportunity to speak into others' lives. Don't miss out on it. One of my favorite Bible verses of all time comes from Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Josh, as you leave this campus for UNC next year, keep in mind that the Lord has a wonderful future for you. Seek Him and His wisdom, and your life will be enriched and blessed. We miss you. Up next is Mr. Jesus Diaz. Jesus, while I didn't have the privilege of coaching this past season, I'm very thankful for the season that we were able to spend together. Your willingness to challenge those around you to be better on the pitch is a quality that many strive for, but few succeed in accomplishing. While your charm, wit, and congenial agreeability are traits that draw others to you, your genuineness is what allows you to develop those meaningful relationships. For that reason, I have chosen the character trait of loyalty. True friendship isn't about being there when it's convenient. It's about being there when it's not. Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how others may view you, your primary focus is to support those around you by caring for their safety, their well-being, and sticking with them through the hard times. Those around you recognize this trait as something that is not prevalent in many of their relationships, and therefore they are drawn to you because they can count on you. Jesus, we need more people like you in this world. As you enter this next phase of life, continue to care for those around you and remember to allow the Lord to be a part of shaping and molding you into the man He has already planned for you to be. Remembering what it says in John chapter 15, verse 13. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend. As a quick side note, my understanding is that this may belong to you. I think you left it in Italy, but I want to make sure I return it to you to its rightful owner. Jesus, I'm going to miss you.
Must admit, came here 3 years ago, and some classes tend to buy into you or take you in or whatever. Well, this year's senior class kind of took me in, and it's been an interesting and good ride. I wish I had all of you this year. I didn't know most of you, but that's okay. I got to know the few that I've had this year really well. But I wanted to start with just a reminder of what it's all about. We just play a role. We sit in a plan, much bigger plan than ourselves, and that plan belongs to God. And I chose to base the three people I'm going to recognize tonight. You're going to hear I'm going to put some lyrics from the song from Michael Card called The Poem of Your Life. And I think it's worth your while to go read the lyrics. If you want to come and get it, I didn't run off enough for all three of you, but if you want to get one later, I'll be glad to run it off for you. They have meant the world to me through my walk for many years with Christ. My first person I want to recognize tonight is Allie O'Brien. And I want to go ahead and kind of get you going here, Allie. It's like your smile reveals more than you know. And yes, not always something good. And yet, I would not want your smile to stop now. I forgot. No, Allie, we're not going outside. You may be tired and even ready to forsake all this, to leave all this behind and forget it. But to do so would buy into the lie that the memory is bad. As a friend of mine once reminded me, to forsake those days that you thought were no good or not good is to believe that God was not there or that He Himself is not the ultimate good, or that He was even with you. So take time to reflect and pick up those pieces that seem worthless. Seek Him who is good. Climb a mountain. Do something exciting. Run a race. Write a book. And I think you can, Alan. And the next time you think too much is expected of you, remind yourself that you have only begun to show what you can do. Do the hard things. Work hard. Work better. Play harder and play better. Keep your smile, Alec. Part of the song here that I thought would be fitting for you. Pain and longing, the joy in the moments of light, while the rhythm and rhyme, the free verse with a poem of your life. James, to the church in the early years of the New Covenant age, said, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and steadfastness has its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given." Don't hesitate and ask for wisdom, Allie. Taste and see that the Lord is good. And yes, keep your smile. This next person may be not always happy with me right now, but I will accept the chiding of this student because I do respect her more than she probably knows. This student was very kind to me, has been very wise and spoken very well to me. And yes, we've had our moments, but those moments are also a reminder that I am here as a participant and as a role to assist parents to see their child grow. So Morgan, would you stand? You are so ready to break loose, so ready to run, so ready to listen to a different tune, a different master, dance to a new song, but your life is never your own, no matter how much you and your friends and the advertisers try to tell you. Your story, your poem, your song is not just starting to be told, but is now being told. Your family, friends, teachers will all tell your story, but God, in His infinite wisdom, can take every moment and every word, using them to shape and direct your heart to be a woman of virtue. Let God use your story and the stories around you to perfect you in His Son's image. God shapes every second of your life and mine's every minute as the universe waits by. Psalm 25. Remember your mercy, O Lord, and steadfast love, for they have been from old. Remember not the sins of my youth or my transgressions. According to your steadfast love, remember me for the sake of your goodness. Thank you, Morgan. I got to toughen up here. Got to get the tears off my eyes and get focused here. It's a little shorter and a little bit more complete. But this young man has been a good challenge for me in many good ways. He's often spoke to me in rare moments to help me see things more clearly. I appreciate that characteristic and insights. Corbin, stand up. You often did. You often spoke to me when I was confused about who y'all were, who y'all are, who you will be. This young man would on occasion help me see more clearly his own classmates without being derisive or speaking down about them. Also, he would even encourage me while I sat and wondered what his class was going through. While I wish so much that you would have put more into your time in Latin, so as to see the men we read about, I realized that much of their character I hoped would have appealed to you will now have to come through other means, and as God's would so will. So look in the mirror, Corbin, and pray for the grace to tear off the mask to see the art of your face. Open your ears, earlids to hear the sweet song of each moment that passes by, and pray to prolong. Your time involved with the dance of your days is the rhyme uniform of your life. Paul, in his letter to the Corinthian church, said this: be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love. Thank you, Corbin.
Class of 2019, I hope you realize that every one of us have you in our hearts, and you have taken a bit of ours. Alex Ladd. Alex, your work ethic is beyond reproach. On the rare occasion that you did not complete an assignment, you told me at the beginning of class, and you did not make excuses. You told me, to do it. I didn't know how to do it, or I just didn't have time or want to do it. Your honesty is to be commended, and I hope that in the future you will continue to walk in the truth without making excuses for anything. Paul tells us in Ephesians 4:25, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully. Alex, you are a very quiet young lady. I know that I have never heard you complain, say something negative, or question authority. You are blessed with a quiet, gentle spirit. This is a gentleness that can only come from God. In 1 Peter 3:3, we are told, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit is of great worth in God's sight. True value must not be placed in what we have, but in who we are. Reputations are fragile. Once they're called into question, they are hard to restore. The Greek philosopher Socrates said, the way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to be. Alex, you have integrity, you use discernment, and you speak truth. I think it is your truthfulness that draws people to you. They trust you completely, and you have proven yourself to be a loyal friend. You are not easily provoked. You provide a level-headedness that people are seeking. You are able to provide a different perspective without coming across as being a judge. Alex, as you go to UNC Charlotte, I pray that you will not change your convictions. Keep Philippians 4:8 in mind. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Lean into God and pray for wisdom. Alex, I have enjoyed teaching you. Keep that smile on your face, and your countenance will be a magnet pulling people to you. I love you, and I will continue to pray for you. Keep smiling, and go to 49ers.
Carson, Kate Cox. How do I sum up my favorite man-child? Well, one word is joy. Carson, you epitomize what it means to bring joy and laughter to others. This is because God gave you a heart of compassion. You truly want to make others smile. Here's how you've made me smile over the years. 10th grade, the Big Daddies. This was an odd one for me to embrace, but I went with it, and now it's hard to see you as anything less than one half of the dynamic Big Daddy duo. There was the day when, as a junior, you popped into my classroom and you left a note on my whiteboard that said, Miss K comes in clutch like Charlotte Corday. I loved that because you compared me to a boss lady, and you remembered an important detail from the French Revolution, which you had learned a year before. For an entire year, I smiled every time I looked up at my clock because your junior yearbook picture was taped to it. And you never failed to pop your head into my classroom to say good morning or just to say, hey, Mama Kay. You made my days infinitely brighter. This year, my affection for you grew with your various antics, which I won't go into detail over. Your love for dank historical names like Blackjack Pershing, and especially that time when we were talking, you had just turned in a test and you leaned in close to me and you said, I don't know if anyone has told you, but you low-key have lettuce in your teeth. I really value honesty a great deal, and it reminded me of one of my favorite proverbs, which is 27:6. And it reads, wounds from a friend can be trusted, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. What I hope you take from this is that we must be willing to hear the hard things from those who love us, and we must endeavor to be honest in everything we do. I'm really proud of you. Congratulations on your graduation. Good luck at ECU. Go Pirates. And we'll have lunch again sometime soon. Okay. You didn't see that coming, did you? Okay. No recognition of you would be complete without the following. Musically. When you came to Caldwell in the 10th grade, the one thing I was told by many people was, he's a Musically star. Even my then 10-year-old daughter knew who you were. Your shout out to her during a live feed actually made me the coolest mom ever, if only for that evening. But I did become even cooler when I sat with her and watched no less than an hour of your videos. Thanks for showing the world how the dab really originated. Aside from the obvious notoriety, you were immediately well-liked by everyone because of your affable nature, your 10th grade goofiness, some of which extended into your senior year, and the confidence that you exude. There's not a shy bone in your body. You are the entertainer, and you jumped into a new school, new classes, and new friends with both feet, just as if you weren't skipping a beat. And when I think back on this and I peel back the many layers of Hinson, the overriding trait I see is that of courage. Joshua 1:9 reads, have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. So Hinson, I really do pray that as you go through life and you meet each new experience and each change and each milestone and each triumph and each hardship, that you're going to greet it with the same enthusiasm that I've seen from you over the last couple of years, the same exuberance and the same courage. You can bet on the fact that I'll be telling future students about Hinson, Jenkins, and Zach, and how they gave me gray hairs and laugh lines, and so I want to thank you for the laughs. You will be missed, and I'm very proud of you. Rebecca Augustine. Rebecca, the middle sister. I get it because I have 3 daughters, as you know, and the dynamics are, in many cases, inevitable. Middle sisters often feel overlooked. They often strive to come out of what they perceive as the shadow of the oldest. And they want to be seen for their unique abilities. Rebecca, I see you. You are incredible. You are who I want to be like when I grow up. Yours is the homework assignment, paper, test, exam that always goes on the top because I know it will be flawless and easy to grade. You are talented, you are inquisitive, you're bright, you're passionate, you're outspoken, you're discerning, and you are unique. You, Rebecca, are fearfully and wonderfully made, just as Psalm 139:14 proclaims. This is what I want you to remember, that the Lord's works are wonderful, and you are one of those wonderful works. I have enjoyed every single minute of class time spent with you. Yes, you are a teacher's dream because you are a model student, but it's much, much more than that. You really want to learn. You want to do more. You want to apply yourself more deeply. You want to understand not only yourself, but also the world around you. Your passion for social justice and your ability to empathize with others endears you to me in ways that I cannot begin to articulate. I'm inspired by your passion for the deaf community and how you educated yourself and sought out instruction, and I can't wait to see how this love plays out in your future career in your life. This recognition wouldn't be complete without mentioning our mutual disdain for the misogyny that is Ernest Hemingway. I know we're supposed to adore him, but thanks for sharing your insight and for generating stimulating conversations about so many things this year. Trust me, you will be missed a great deal, and don't tell anyone, but middle sisters are my favorite. Zach. You always got to save the one you might cry over for last. Okay, for the record, Coach Bo and I have been arguing for more than 2 years over who would do your senior recognition. And the fact that I'm standing here means... Yeah, he missed a meeting, so I got to. No, what it really means is that while the romance still lives, I am relishing in a minor victory because I have the privilege of talking about you this evening. When you were in the 10th grade, I wrote a response to your letter to Miss K assignment, and I remember telling you that I sensed that you had the makings of a Renaissance man. A Renaissance man is defined as a present-day man who has acquired profound knowledge or proficiency in more than one field. And in the past 3 years, I've seen tremendous growth in you, and there's no doubt that you are on your way to being that Renaissance man. Even on the days when the two of us bicker, which is every day, and even when you drove me to distraction by talking with Jenkins, I've always believed that you are capable of great things. You've shown that in a number of ways this year, from the work you've done in school to your abilities on the ball field to the responsible decisions you are making. You've shown great maturity and integrity. I'm going to miss hearing you call me Mama K, especially, okay, there's like 20 varieties of Mama K, first of all, and you can always tell how Zach's feeling based on the tone of his voice, but especially the one that I'm going to miss the most is when you're like, okay, you doing all right? And so, I don't know if everyone gets to see this side of you, but you have this enormous heart. And I know because I've seen it firsthand, this trait of compassion that you have is encouraged in 1 Peter 3:8, which reads, finally, all of you, be like-minded, be sympathetic, love one another, be compassionate and humble. My prayer for you is that as you walk through life, you will surround yourself with people who are like-minded in the pursuit of godliness, that you embrace others with compassion and humility, and that compassion and humility are returned to you. I love you, bud. Congratulations.
Bowen Young. Determination. Bowen, it's been my pleasure to coach you over the past 4 years in one game. As I watch over the years, I've grown a true appreciation for your determination. Whether on the court, the field, or in the classroom, you give your very best and refuse to fall short of your goals. I feel like one of the biggest tests of character in life is when you give a young man a game ball and tell him to go pitch. Your entire team is counting on you every pitch of the game. The entire crowd is watching your every move. Some guys never want the ball. Some guys are willing to give the ball back to the coach when things are not going well. For the past 4 years, whenever I gave you the ball, I never expected it back. I had no doubt, regardless of how good you felt or how challenging the game was, you were always determined to finish the game. Always trying to throw one more pitch. That's determination. Boy, there's a lot of great memories. There was that one state playoff game where you had the worst round of pregame infield of all time. But then you made every single play in the game when it mattered. Getting the big win at Myrtle Beach or the wins against Carmel or Rocky Mountain State playoffs last year. Bowen, I will miss your work ethic. Thank you for setting the tone for our team. I will miss your love for the Tar Heels and your ability to talk smack in a dignified way to all the newbies. I will not miss your love for the Braves since I'm a Cubs fan, but I do appreciate that you have a passion for one team, unlike Davis, who has 15 favorite teams. I will miss how you cheered on all the Caldwell teams and carried around that Hawaii flag with pride. I would say now is probably the time to throw those baseball leggings away that you've worn every day for baseball for 4 years. I would also like to congratulate you on wearing Chacos, I think, every day, even when it was 2 degrees outside. I'm not sure if you lost a bet or whatever, but feel free to wear your regular shoes moving forward. Also, congratulations on setting the school record for strikeouts in a season, beating your brother, the great one, Clay Young, 5-1. Well done. Ultimately, Bowen, one of the best compliments I can give any guy that I coach is to say, they are a good dude. Bowen, there's no doubt that you are a good dude. As you leave to go to college, I pray that you will attack life with the same determination that has made you successful here. James 1:12 says, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." Best of luck next year, Bo. We love you and we'll miss you. Caitlin Holbrook. I got to start with a story. Had to go back and watch some film to make sure I'm accurate in how I say this here. Your freshman year, we're trailing the defending state champ 16-23 in the Final Four. The momentum had swung in their favor, and I could feel the game slipping away from us. Caitlin Holbrook steps back to the serving line. Next thing you know, we're winning the game 24-23, and Asheville calls a timeout. In the huddle, the whole team is waiting on my brilliant coaching strategy. And I just stare right at you, freshman Caitlin, baby Caitlin, and I just say, don't mess up. While most players, especially freshmen, would freak out, in a game of that magnitude, with the game on the line, you calmly looked right back at me and said, I got you. And while you said that, you took your right hand and you patted me on the cheek. In all my years of coaching before and all my years since, no one has ever dared to touch my cheek. Not even Zach Wilkins. But you believed in yourself, you believed in the team, and your words were true and sincere. I will say, without a doubt, in that moment, there was no doubt in my mind that you were going to win the game, or at least you better have won the game, so good job. As I watched you as a student or in athletics, I've always felt that you were genuine in your approach. You're not always the one who speaks first or speaks the most, but when you do speak, it is sincere. It comes from the heart. I think your teammates and your classmates respect this about you. I can think of no better example of this than when you delivered your team devotion at the end of the year at our last practice and had everyone crying, including me. That only happens when you're sincere, and those who are listening know it. Caitlin, I will miss many things. I will miss your enthusiasm for the game and how you would yell, "We won it," every time I would throw in a free ball. I will miss how you would celebrate points, and how sometimes you would jump so high in celebration that you would forget to put your feet back down and fall on your face. We actually have that on video. I will miss your foot stomp when you would get a little frustrated. I will also miss reminding you of how Janie got more kills than you when you both got to be hitters in that JV game. Your work ethic and character are of the highest quality. I think this is shown in your success in the classroom and on the volleyball court. You set high goals for yourself, and you have worked tirelessly to achieve them. Caitlin, thank you for giving me the opportunity to coach you and to be a part of your journey. As you leave here, Caitlin, I pray that you will be just a little bit less sassy to your new coach next year. And I also pray that you will continue to be sincere in your approach to life and a genuine friend to those around you, just like you have been here at Caldwell. 1 Timothy 1:5 says, "But the goal of our instruction is love from a pure heart and a good conscience and a sincere faith." Caitlin, we love you and we'll miss you. Hannah Holzman. Virtue. Hannah, it's been amazing to see you grow and mature over the past 5 years. I chose virtue as your character trait because you're able to take situations that happen on your team, at school, and life, or whatever it might be, and always apply it to an understanding of what God is doing in your life. Hannah, you are one of the hardest workers I know, and also one of the most passionate. As a coach, you're always looking for players to share your love for the program, and I think you were that player. I will say, though, it was interesting to find out this year kind of how much you hated my practice drills. Not just one drill or two drills, but basically all the drills. But somehow we made it through. I truly appreciate your leadership. That is a heavy burden sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to stand for what is right in a world that tells you it's okay to bend just a little. You have managed several very challenging situations and come through those times by clinging to truth, because that is what our Lord calls us to do. Thank you for standing firm when it meant the road would be challenging. You handled it all with grace and virtue. Philippians 4:8 says, "Finally, brothers, whether things are true, whatever things are honest, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue and if there is any praise, think of these things." I feel like you exemplify this verse and how you always bring everything back to your relationship with the Lord and how you seek out things that are good. So many memories, Wobble Wednesdays, squashing the spider, lunchtime team poetry readings, all the times you tried to kick a volleyball and failed miserably, and all the intense bounce ball games we had. Tears of sadness and tears of joy. Congratulations on setting some new school records. Also, congratulations for holding the distinction of being the best dancer on our team, which I'm not sure is a compliment because we have lots of bad dancers on our team. Mostly, thank you for sharing your love of the Lord and how you walk in your daily life. As you leave Caldwell, I pray at some point you will find your state championship ring that you lost. You earned it. I also pray that you will continue to soak in all that life has to offer. God's glory is a beautiful thing and is everywhere. Continue to apply all of life's experiences to your relationship with the Lord. Berry College is getting an outstanding student and player, but they're getting an even better person. We love you and we'll miss you.
Nick Holmes. Nick, though I raised my hand quickly when your name was made available to teachers for senior recognition, Mr. Storch raised his hand more quickly. It is only because Mr. Storch cannot be here that I have a second chance. But I did contact him to make sure he had an opportunity to express his thoughts on Nick Holmes. It turns out, of course, we have noted many of the same traits. Mr. Storch said that you demonstrated the best essay writing, giving very compelling answers to free response questions, and that you have the best handwriting, describing it as looking like an early Steve Jobs Apple font. He acknowledged that though you are committed to your positions, you are open to hearing alternatives. He described you as I would, that you are very sharp, always keeping him on his toes. There is another characteristic that we might define differently, but can be observed as impatience with those who haven't thought things through in the same way that you have. I might describe it as the highest regard for and a cautious approach to trust. You could be wary, not wanting to fall into that group perhaps that in Jeremiah 7:8 the prophet accuses, but look, you are trusting in deceptive words that are worthless. Your friends know you to be loyal and true. They have earned your trust, and you value each other deeply. It's taken me a long time to earn your trust. You were cautious and wary. Eventually, you seem to realize that though I too am strong-minded, my ultimate desire is not to crush your pursuit of truth, on stage or off. And so I would encourage you to hold on to those marvelous traits that drive you toward the pursuit of excellence in thinking, in writing, and conversing, and weighing whether someone should be trusted. Those traits will serve you well. With all my heart, I would urge you toward a lifelong trust in the one who is true excellence, the one who is forever trustworthy. As Psalm 9:10 proclaims from the heart of David, those who know your name trust in you, for you, Lord, have never forsaken those who seek you. Sean Wareham. Sean, have you ever worked with a Rubik's Cube? Yeah. Somehow I think you'd be good at solving one. A Rubik's Cube is, for most of us, a mystifying arrangement of colors and moving parts that very few people manage to decode, to disentangle quickly, if at all. So, if you are such a detangler, therein lies the enigma wrapped in irony. You see, Sean, you are a Rubik's Cube. You often bring peace and order to a situation, but you are a puzzle yourself. Through the years, I have seen your courage, your patience with others, your gracious acceptance of criticism, your tendency to ponder a problem quietly before offering an opinion. And yet, with your broad frame of reference and your zany sense of humor, you are just as prone to breaking into dance or creating hilarious, quirky characters. God has gifted you with a gorgeous voice, and you have developed it beyond the skills of many professional actors. To watch you perform on stage as dashing Robin Hood, or to see you improvise sparkling dialogue with William as you spontaneously begin to act is pure joy. There is so much creativity and depth of thought going on inside you. But like solving a Rubik's Cube, the key to cracking the code and being able to readily access your inner workings is a mystery to many of us. You are a fascinating, fearfully, and wonderfully made mix of order, chaos, and complexity. And though I sense that that frustrates you as well, I want you to be assured of your worth. James 3:18 says, peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. Sean, your quiet, peacemaking strength, your generosity of spirit, your desire for order are virtues sorely needed in this world. You are a blessing to those around you. When frustration rises inside you at being the complex puzzle that you are, of sometimes feeling that this puzzle is beyond understanding, I urge you to hold on to God's promise found in Philippians 4:7. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Sean, you are unique. You are loved. You are created for a purpose.
Lauren Phillips. Lauren, you are dependable. Lauren, being dependable is one of the most important character traits because it reflects our priorities. When we place God first, we see how much the Lord loves us and others, and then we naturally think of others before ourselves. Lauren, people know that you are someone they can count on. As a result, they will see God in you. The verse I have picked for you is 1 John 2:5. But whoever keeps his word, truly the love of God is perfected in him. By this we know that we are in him. By being dependable, this allows us to continue in our commitments, even if it means personal sacrifice. This year, your senior superlative was very fitting. You were chosen most dependable. This is one of the many reasons why I chose you as one of our yearbook's photography editors. If an event needed to be photographed, Lauren would photograph it. If a folder needed to be added to the yearbook drive, Lauren had already done it. If a page needed to be designed, Lauren would take the photos and then go design the page. If the swim team needed Lauren to race, she was there no matter what. Even if a freshman needed someone to dance with, you would dance with him. That's just who you are, dependable. Never lose this quality, Lauren. It is valued greatly and shows your love of the Lord to others. I have enjoyed having you in my class for the past 2 years. We have prayed together, shared happy, sad, and even funny moments. Don't you cry. I will miss your organization skills. There aren't too many people that will say they deep clean their room, but you do, and I'm proud of you for it. When we make our year-end videos, I will miss your beautiful singing of any Hannah Montana song. I will also miss looking at your laptop stickers. The veterinarian living one, that's my personal favorite. Lastly, whenever I see a Dr. Pepper, I will always think of your love of that soda. Stay sweet, Lauren. Follow your dreams. Stay dependable and keep loving the Lord. I will miss you. Good evening. I'm actually reading for Mr. Haritine, who cannot be here tonight because he is ill. So picture Mr. Haritine, okay? Matthew Jenkins. Gifted. Gifted is defined as having exceptional talent or natural ability. Matthew, you are an exceptionally gifted person. On the one hand, I see an aptitude in your studies, particularly a great knack for writing. Each essay for an exam or test that you wrote was always filled with insightful remarks and beautiful prose. This was so much so that I was surprised in the best of ways every time you wrote me an essay. This is also true in other classes. Mrs. Elizabeth Roberts said that you excelled in pre-calculus, that you are brilliant, and that you excelled with numbers. I'm sure many of your other teachers would say the same. On the other hand, you have a great aptitude for enjoying life, God's gift to humanity. I always see you laughing, joking with friends, and building friendship that will endure for a long time. It comes very naturally to you. Matthew, this giftedness comes out most when you apply and focus yourself on a subject or topic, whatever it may be. I thus encourage you to soak the most out of God's gifting to you. Enjoy the world that He has created to be in communion with us. Enjoy the world with its friendships, beauty, and fun. I moreover encourage you to be responsible toward this gifting, applying yourself in college, friendships, and life. Do not spoil your giftedness and natural abilities by forgetting they are just that, gifts. Just like the parable of the talents, responsibly invest and steward what God has so abundantly given you, and you will find your return immensely rewarding. I have enjoyed our time together, so please stay in touch and keep us all up to date with your journey. Davis Leonard. You are a leader. Leadership is a process of influencing others while maximizing their efforts toward a collective goal. Leadership also takes initiative, individualization, courage, knowing one's limitations, and a reliance upon others. When one speaks to you, Davis, they get the impression that they are speaking to someone who is willing to pave their own way, to not simply do something the crowd is doing, but someone who desires to reach a conclusion on his own. I saw your leadership abilities when in class discussions, you would thoughtfully consider your answers and not be swayed by others' opinions immediately. I saw your leadership abilities with the baseball team, seeking to positively influence the other guys, as well as when Mr. Storch commented about the Italy trip. It was almost like having another chaperone there. That was amazing. I see this in your physical fitness when you maintain a positive influence and healthy goals for yourself. I was sad to see your goals of peak fitness fall through when you became so sick this spring, but I have full confidence you will simply pave the way again and accomplish your goals anew. I lastly see your leadership in the way you took initiative with cleaning up senior prank when you did not have to. All these attributes, initiative, goal orientation, influence, and confidence make you a great leader. As a leader, I encourage you to rely on others around you. A leader is only as strong as the support system and must know how to ask for help. Forget not to rely upon the one true source of strength so that you may not stumble, or more importantly, so that when you do stumble, Christ is there for and with you. Remember as well that it is not only your abilities and attributes that make you a leader, but God's call. God's call made Moses and David leaders, both of whom struggled with self-doubts and others doubted them. As you go out, forget not that He is with you and for you. We are all eager to hear about your future, so please keep in touch. Andrew Woody. Quiet confidence. Confidence is defined as having a certainty about outcomes, handling situations, and in having a certainty in oneself. It is akin to a trust and level-headedness. I added the adjective quiet because oftentimes confident people can be aggressive or boastful. Instead, Andrew, you have a quiet resolution to your character, a preparedness to approach your goals, and you carry an unassuming attitude. The first and most obvious example is in golf. You have great talent in this area, which obviously merits your confidence. You recently won awards in golf, and even won a match when you were sick. You came into class one day and told me that, in spite of your sickness, you had recently won a match. What surprised me most is that you weren't boasting, but just relating the story. You are very sure and certain in your ability great reason to be so. Another and more subtle example is when you participate in class discussion. You're always sure of your answers and willing to put yourself out there when answering a question. You always do so in a confident and unassuming manner, and I remember that from rhetoric too. Due to the nature of the word, when speaking of confidence, one must also speak of trust. Remember that confidence is a trust in something, so forget not to maintain your confidence in the God who will not fail you. Self-confidence and confidence in a skill or outcome are always good, but will eventually fall short in some manner. Therefore, put your confidence in God first and establish yourself in Him. I encourage you to be confident in what He has in store for you and not simply your own plans. We are eager to hear about your future, Andrew, so stay in touch with us. Thank you.
Jada Meeke. I did not have the pleasure of meeting you until last fall when you began the process of writing your senior thesis, but I was immediately impressed by your friendly, cheerful, and good-natured disposition. Regardless of the circumstance, I saw you respond kindly and sweetly to others, thus the character trait that I have chosen for you is love, the giving to others basic needs without having as your motive personal reward. Evidently, this has been your habit for quite some time, for according to Miss Hodgkins, you were one of the main planners of a little surprise party that you and some others gave her, a prime example, in her estimation, of the way that you are a naturally affectionate and giving individual. Your concern for others, to include even those who are much less fortunate than you are, was evidenced in your choice of a senior thesis topic, the real cause of diet-related diseases in food desert residents. Clearly, you have a heart for those who are without basic necessities, and that is an orientation that is most pleasing to God. Your kind-heartedness and compassion have been evident to others as well. According to Mrs. Twig, you are an attentive, kind-hearted, gentle and quiet young lady who is always respectful and hardworking and whose smile lights up a room. I couldn't agree more. Your years of faithful participation in the choral program, to include the Caldwell Singers, have allowed her to recognize you as someone who has been a, quote, all-in member of these ensembles. Obviously, a delight for any choral program director. Mr. Powell describes you as a consistently good student in class who is polite and well-liked by her peers and teachers alike. As you transition to UNC Charlotte in the fall, may you continue to be known as one who readily exhibits a gentle and quiet spirit that is so pleasing to God, and a love for others that puts their interests above your own. I'm very excited to see how the Lord will use you in the days and years to come. William Wareham. Among those whom I greatly admire are innovative, imaginative, and gifted individuals like you, William, who seem perfectly at ease speaking and performing on stage. So the character trait that I have chosen for you is creativity, approaching a need, idea, or a task from a new perspective, which is in essence what you do so well as an actor. This ability and your love of theater have been well expressed at Caldwell, as you have participated in 6 dramatic productions in which you consistently distinguished yourself as a talented thespian and even won the 2018 Drama Performance Award for your performance as King John in Robin Hood. Clearly, you are exceedingly talented. According to Mrs. Johnson, you have the best enunciation of any student that she has ever taught, are consistently gracious and respectful, are very generous on and off the stage, and with your brother can be ridiculously funny when you and he create skits using accents. Your many talents and abilities have been developing over time. Mr. Powell, who has had the pleasure of knowing you since your freshman year, told me that you really grew as a student between 9th and 11th grades. Although you were reluctant to speak up in class, he recognizes that you were a good literature student, a great communicator of morning announcements, and like Sean, a fabulous dancer. Several teachers attest to the deep desire that you have to be mature and to do the right thing, particularly in what you write. And I saw this repeatedly as you carefully crafted your senior thesis, which argued for the innovative solution of automation as a viable replacement for human labor. In class and at home, you worked diligently, researching, writing, and refining your arguments, and in the end, produced a paper of which you should be very proud. You set high standards for yourself and have excelled as a result. This will inevitably give you confidence in the future. As you transition to college next year with a view to transferring to Western Carolina to major in engineering, may others readily see the wonderfully comedic, yet deeply contemplative young man whom God has created you to be. May you live your life to bring him glory. Jamie Twig. There are some people who, by virtue of their conscientiousness and extraordinary work ethic, distinguish themselves from the rest. And Janie Twig, you are one of them. Thus, the character quality that I have chosen for you is diligence, being able to visualize each and every task as a special assignment from the Lord and to work heartily to accomplish it for His glory. From the outset of the senior thesis process, as you began to research and complete assignments defending the preferability of hospital versus home births, you exhibited a tireless initiative, a teachable spirit, and an attentiveness to detail, which in the end resulted in your earning the highest grade for the research paper in the honors track of senior thesis. Well done. You are not only an exemplary student, as many here would attest, including Mr. Powell, who describes you as a smart, thoughtful student of literature who added greatly to class discussions, but you are also a gifted actress and musician. Mrs. Johnson recounts that your ability to listen carefully, paired with your incredible work ethic, enabled you to be one of the first to learn your lines and blocking in any production. Your participation in 8 plays, the choir and the Caldwell Singers, various sports, student leadership, and beta clubs speaks of your amazing capability to multitask and to do it very, very well. You have extremely high standards for yourself, yet in the midst of it all, you have proven yourself to be kind and resilient and a wonderful listener who is sensitive to the needs of those around you. In addition, many here in this auditorium today recognize that when necessary, you are prepared to be your own person and to stand alone. This willingness is very unusual among students your age and is evidence of a maturity far beyond your years that will enable God to speak through you in mighty ways as you live your life for Him. As you transition to Anderson College in South Carolina to pursue nursing as a major, rest in the wonderful grace of God, which you do not have to earn, and surrender the anxiety which will inevitably be part of the mix to your Heavenly Father, whose love is unconditional and enduring. You, indeed, are a wonderful and precious jewel.
Campbell Smith. Campbell, you are tenacious, vivacious. Your laugh is infectious, and your smile can light up a room. On the court, in a gym, at the beach, you are dynamic, explosive, a force to be reckoned with. As a sister, a daughter, a friend, you are caring and kind, a shoulder to cry on. I believe there's nothing you wouldn't do for Brinkley. Yes, Campbell,
What I've seen in you over the years is a bit of a paradox, a gorgeous juxtaposition. You're a beautiful Disney princess come to life, who in the blink of an eye can send an opponent face-planting into the hot sand over one of your missile-like serves. And that's why we love you. In all that you do, you demonstrate enthusiasm, expressing with your soul the joy of your spirit. For as long as I can remember, you have had a twinkle in your eye and a smile on your face. The Renaissance Fair, pioneer days, flying off to Italy, winning conference, and especially the year you and your teammates captured the state volleyball title. You have worked hard, played hard, given your all, and pushed yourself towards excellence, and it's paid off. When you committed to the University of Alabama, Birmingham last year to play D1 volleyball, we were not a bit surprised, and we were all incredibly proud of you. Next fall, when you head off to school, you will no doubt make your mark quickly as a trusted friend and a formidable opponent. Campbell, I pray you will leave here knowing that you are loved by so many, that God is within you and beside you every step of the way. May you take with you these words from 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 19. Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And next year, when I think of you and I miss you, I will think of sun, sand, Cinderella, a little bit of glitter glue, and that $1 million smile. Congratulations, Campbell. I love you, and I wish you the very best. Joy Clifford. It would be very easy for me to stand here and talk of how you've lived up to your name, because, well, you have. You are joyful and have brought joy to this campus over the years. But in the time I have known you, you have also clearly demonstrated responsibility, knowing and doing what both God and others are expecting from you. You have repeatedly stepped up, put yourself out there, and spoken up for what you believe is right. Starting Caldwell in kindergarten, you later chose to leave for a few years, which I'm sure wasn't easy. And then you came back. Again, not easy. This is a tight-knit group. But you put yourself out there, enmeshed yourself within this group, and were quickly woven back into the fabric that is the class of 2019. Performing in numerous plays, both on campus and in the Greensboro community, creating beautiful artwork for campus productions, singing at the Biltmore and Carnegie Hall as a Caldwell singer, captain of this year's swim team, and a respected member of our women's soccer team. Not to mention your side business of pastries and baked goods. Yes, you definitely immerse yourself in all that God brings your way, demonstrating a responsibility to Him and to yourself to jump in with both feet and give all of yourself to whatever you endeavor to undertake. In recent years, you have discovered and pursued a passion for those with hearing impairments. You've learned sign language, last month traveling to Jamaica to minister to a deaf community while learning more about their struggles. And just last week, you eloquently spoke of this topic in your senior thesis production. This year, you fiercely advocated for yourself, landing an impressive scholarship to Johnston and Wales, and a much-desired spot at UNC Wilmington. Congratulations. Joy, as you walk across that stage tomorrow, soon headed for Paris, London, and many stops in between, I pray you will soar next year as a Seahawk. That teal's going to look fabulous on you. That you will take from Caldwell your love of learning, your pride of place and self, that you will continue to spread the joy that is you, just as you have so richly blessed us here with your smiles and your many gifts, and with the joy of knowing you. I leave with you these words from Psalm 16:11. You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. Congratulations, Joy. I love you, and I will miss you, and I hope you'll come back to visit. Catherine Riddle. Kat, I am so glad you listened to my daughter years ago at the start of 4th grade with Mrs. Howard. She told you her mom said, your mom said you should be friends because you both have the same name and you're a lot alike. How right we were and how thankful I am you two formed a bond that has endured since then. Kat squared. Your friendship has allowed me the opportunity to get to know you so much better, because what one sees of you on the surface is not what lies beneath. On the surface, you are rock steady, consistent, reserved, serious. You are reliable, private, hard to read. But inside, you are so much more. You are crazy fun, filled with giggles and quick comebacks, a lover of bright colors, One Tree Hill, country music, Chick-fil-A. On our campus, you are known as a loyal friend, a trusted confidant, a selfless sister. On the basketball court, you were unwavering in your sportsmanship and leadership. And to watch you drive the ball down the court and sink three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer was thrilling. And you are brave, pushing through challenges that have come your way, getting up, showing up, resolute. Kat, thank you for following the path laid out for you by your parents years ago, for placing your faith in the Lord and continuing to put one foot in front of the other, even on the darkest days. Your continued trust in Him has brought you to this wonderful stepping off point in your life and made you who you are today, this amazing young woman we all love, and with a very special place in this senior class. Of the many qualities that come to mind when I think of you, Kat, most of all, I think of endurance, the inward strength to withstand stress to accomplish God's best. Galatians 6:9 states, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Well, you didn't give up, not once, and now it's time for you to look ahead to Appalachian State, knowing that you gave your best, you finished this race, you are ready for the next chapter in your life. We are so proud of you and excited for you. Congratulations, Kat. I love you, and I will miss you.
Catherine Welch. Happy birthday. The characteristic I've chosen for you is dependability and sincerity. Or maybe a new description, sincere dependability. Bible quote from Psalm 15:4, fulfilling what I consented to do, even though it means unexpected sacrifice. I've had the pleasure of working alongside you for 2 years in yearbook and 2 math classes, including this year. In yearbook, your willingness to go and get the photographs required, even though you had already met your goals, helped to create a team that I knew I could count on. There were many times that extra photos had to be taken or retaken to meet the deadline, and I knew that you and Laura would get them finished. Your willingness and positive spirit gained you a leadership role in following years of yearbook. Senior year is a struggle with emotional ups and downs and balancing workloads. This adds a whole new level to classes beyond the note-taking and material, but I knew I could count on you to always try your hardest in math class. You always had your homework done, with work shown. There were days when energy levels ran low, but you would be tracking and providing answers in class.
You're just the kind of student a teacher prays that they have a few of in every class. You're a dependable friend, especially to Kat. Your emotions run deep inside of you. Your laughter and positive energy bubbles over when you're happy. One of my favorite authors, Douglas Adams, said, "To give real service, you must add something which cannot be bought or measured with money, and that is sincerity and integrity." To be blessed with dependability and sincerity from God is going to mean that you're going to be called on where these are needed the most. Yikes. In a world of constant change, altered truths, and broken contracts, that's where we're going to find you. Be bold. Stand strong for the ones who are weak. Show your tender heart for a great cause and bless the world. God loves you, and so do I. Thomas T.C. Raven. Loyalty and gentleness. In John 15:13, using difficult times to demonstrate my commitment to God and to those whom He has called me to serve. Our journey started in 2014 when you played the role of Geppetto in Pinocchio. I was assistant director, my daughter Hannah was stage manager, and my son Calvin was the cat. I remember feeling totally exhausted after a day of watching you rehearse because you had to climb through a window, chase Micah, Pinocchio, around, climb out of a whale's mouth, and more. I remember plastic food fights and the blue knitted hat I made for you. I also remember that learning your lines was a big challenge for you, but on performance night, you delivered them well. Last year in Robin Hood, I knew I could count on you to deliver a lovable and loyal Little John. Your staff fight with Kevin and Sean was epic, but your stage fall was the most memorable, leaving the audience thinking that you had truly fallen off the stage. In math class, I taught you geometry, pre-cal, and discrete. Last year, after the Dead Fish Hat, or Unit Circle Challenge, you begged me for a consolation award. That year, I presented you the first ever Dead Fish eyeball patch, which you wore on your coat the rest of the year. In all these years, you demonstrated loyalty to other casts, the tenor section, friends, and me. You are a gentle giant. A young man who has a friendly, calm presence in a room and who friends can count on. Your sophomore year, you would frequently come by my room in the morning to say hello, tell me how hard you were working in math class so that you could be in pre-cal, or simply to relate an amusing story. I will miss our conversations. In my youth, I read tons of books. One of my favorites was Winnie the Pooh. There was much wisdom that can be learned from that silly old bear. I considered him to be a gentle giant to his friends in the Hungry-Dragon Wood and a loyal companion. I'll leave you with this quote from Winnie the Pooh's very best friend, Christopher Robin, as I feel it fits you as you move out into the next stage of your life. You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think. God loves you, and so do I.
Well, you've been a great audience so far, and I may get a little bit tired, so let's everybody stand up. Everybody stand up, right? Take a little stretch break. You can't go anywhere, so it's not an intermission, but let's call it an intromission. There you go, stay where you're at. Now stretch a little bit. Everybody feel better? Now while you're standing, what we're going to do is, oh wait, somebody came, visitor. Oh, what are you doing there? Well, Mr. Salty came and he wants to say to everybody, congratulations, and help me a great round of applause for the class of 2019. Let's go. All right, please be seated at this solemn occasion. Now, I need some, we're going to start out with just a little bit of humor. I had a little gift for you, a little two-bit gift here. But I need some participation, because the worst thing in the world is to tell a chemistry joke and get no reaction. So it's very important that you help participation. Ready? they discover some new elements. Ready? What's the element of surprise? Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Element of silence. Okay, you're good. The element of pain. And you know that a hug without you would just be toxic. Mercury, sorry. Okay. Yeah, I was reading a book last night. It was a book on helium, and I just couldn't put it down. And so anyway, what happened is, it was okay. It was a light read. But anyway, every time I read it, I just it was like one of the funniest books I could read. I remember every word. It just was. It was one of the funniest books I ever had. So anyway, I want to say, as we keep going here, I read an article about a scientist, and they said they finally got a compound together with lithium and argon. And I said, well, what's the formula? It said LIAR. And I said, I don't think I believe that. Anyway, you know, the science can also intertwine between other disciplines like this. For example, I was talking to the Spanish teacher. I'm going to say her name wrong. What is it? Okay. Anyway, yeah, I know I said her wrong name wrong. And I just popped in and I said, I want to give you a pop quiz. I said, do you know, is the symbol for silicon in your country the same as it is here? And she's pretty smart. She said, what? Yeah, so she actually knew a little bit of chemistry. And also, I didn't know she was a magician. She told me this trick. She said, let me show you a trick. She went like this. Uno, dos. She vanished without a trace. Anyway, she was a good magician. Also, I was talking about biology. I talked to Miss Frowns the other day. I said, Miss Frowns, do you know what happened if I took all of my blood vessels and arteries and veins and everything and lined them up, took them on my body and lined them up? You know what? I'd be dead. Okay. Anyway, she told me, well, your jokes are pretty good, but said, if you tell some anatomy jokes, they'd be more humorous. Okay, sorry. That's not too bad. I had some bad news for you Star Wars fans. You probably didn't know Darth Vader had a second wife, did you know that? It was a very brief marriage, so even from the beginning, Darth and his wife Ella Vader, they were having these ups and downs like all the time, so they got divorced. Ella Vader. But on the other hand, there was a couple that stayed around for a long time. Marie and Pierre Curie, you know, they had a love relationship, two scientists, and he said to her every day, he said, Marie, you're looking more radiant every day. But I couldn't tell if that was romantic or a warning. I couldn't tell. Okay, good. All right. One thing, let's go with some math. One thing I can tell you, I'm doing a lot of calculations with freakies the other day. One thing I can tell you, it hurts. And anyway, that's a science joke. What did I say? Oh yeah, one day in Miss Church's class, there was a student complaining about how cold it was. And she said, just go to the corner, it's 90 degrees. Okay, sweet. And then I was talking to Miss Roberts too. Miss Roberts said, she had a perfect PIN number. She said, nobody will guess it. I said, what is it? She said, the last 4 digits of pi. I said, oh, okay. Anyway, even though as a kid you heard this joke, like, why is 6 afraid of 7? Everybody knows the answer. What is it? Because 7, 8, 9. Okay, you know, 7, it's a weird word. 7 has the word even in it. That's odd. Okay. I also asked Miss North. Miss North came back the other day, and she said she went to a wedding, and it's her friend her. She had these Wi-Fi engineers. And I said, how was it? She said, the reception was great. Okay. Anyway, last one. Sorry. Talking to Miss Twig, and I said, I know you have a love of Mozart, and even though you keep getting mad though, because the other day, you would ask your pet chicken every day, like who's the most famous composer of all, and you got really mad and killed the chicken, and why? Because the chicken kept saying, okay. Well, anyway, that's my gift to you. I don't know why you do that. I do have the privilege of honoring 2 students, and I'd like to get started with that. So, Marin Shaw, please. Marin, I can still remember you in the 10th grade honors chemistry class.
You're a very curious student. You ask great questions, probing questions, clarifying questions, lover of learning questions. I can honestly say I loved seeing that you were knowing that you were really there to learn. I look forward to your questions every day. I really felt a selfish disappointment when you told me you weren't going to be at Caldwell for over half a year. You're going to Kenyon to study. It was selfish of me, but I knew that that's what God wanted you to do. This is a comfort for me. Later I heard you were coming back for your senior year. All right. I thought, that's great. Whether you were in science class or singing in a choir, I always remember your face. It just seemed to radiate an inner joy, a real joy. And it was not based on false pride of self, but rather inner peace. It gave you the confidence to ask those kind of questions, to explore things, to learn. I was talking to Mr. Powell. He said, I look forward every day to hearing Marin's insight about the reading. I really treasured her insight into literature and also into scriptures. He could tell that he knew that you had a personal walk with Christ. Miss Weirda, first words were about you. She's amazing. She is so driven. She's willing to take chances to explore. She thought you would accomplish even more than your mom did before she was 30. I guess your mom did a whole lot, is that right? She said you're going to do more than that. Miss Twig thought of how you take initiative and always go beyond what you need to do, most students who acquire. At home, you would not only study your part, you studied the whole piece. She also added that from within, joy came out whenever you sang. Mrs. Welch said that as a cheerleader, Marin was always positive and encouraging to the other cheerleaders. From all of these, I picked 3 character traits I've chosen for you. 1, sincerity, earnest honesty that is readily doing what is right and with pure and loving intention. 2, virtue, holding on to the principles of moral excellence that calls us to a higher level where few people desire to go, but as Christians, we must go. And 3, purpose, in knowing who you are in Christ and acting it out with your life. Devoting our life, spiritual gifts, abilities, and call so it can bring out the best in people and situations. I've also chosen 2 Bible verses for you. Number 1, John 1:5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Marin, you will be that light that shines in the darkness. And the second one is Colossians 3:12 through 14. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive, as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. You've been a joy to be a student of mine. Marin, good luck next year at UNC Chapel Hill. Summer Rogers. Summer, it's also been my pleasure. It's my pleasure to recognize you in front of your peers, teachers, and parents this evening. You have already accomplished so much, and yet you will no doubt add to this 100-fold in your future. I am very proud of the person you've already become. For every task and responsibility you have been given, you have done them all with excellence. One of the character traits I've chosen for you is diligence and thoughtfulness. Allows us to operate with our best for His highest, with excitement and passion, in order to complete our work and call from the Lord. The Bible verse I've chosen for you is Colossians 3:23. For whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not to human masters. I've watched you do this for the past 3 years in my classes. Also as Beta Club Vice President 1 year and President this year. On the tennis courts as well. I found a quote, but I couldn't tell who wrote it, so maybe you can help me out here. There is no way around hard work. When you do something best in life, you don't really want to give it up. And for me, that is what? Do you know who that is? Who is it? Yeah, I just gave you a quiz the day before you graduated. All right, that's correct, Roger Frederick. Okay, as your art teacher, Mrs. Welch says, and she already mentioned this, Summer is so gifted. She's phenomenal. Her work ethic and dedication are amazing. She does whatever it takes to make her art beautiful. Ms. Weirda says Summer is so diligent and organized, she's always on top of her task. This makes her a good leader. Her style is not so emotional as it is knowing what has to be done and getting others to get their part done. She said you did a great job heading up local ministries and you had over 400 volunteer hours. Mr. Powell said he had asked you at the end of the 11th grade, what was your secret to reaching your high level of academic success? You said you had a strategy, a plan of study, a list of things to get done. He said, I'd love to bottle up what you had. I think I'll call it Ode to Summer. No, I made that part up. Okay. Your second character is that of godly priorities. Choosing to follow scripture precepts as the primary important schedule and value for life. I got I asked you for it, but you have a youth leader, J.T. Thornhill, and anyway, he sent me this. I was waiting for it. He sent it to me. He says, Summer is an incredible young woman who consistently makes people around her better. She is kind, compassionate, sweet, caring, and intelligent. She will succeed in whatever she decides to do with her life. During weekly time of worship, JT knew something was bothering you one Sunday, and without naming names, without criticizing anybody, without condemning anyone, you spoke of how it broke your heart to see some of the younger people in the youth group and some of the decisions they were making was going to affect their lives. And as I was reading this, I thought, it says, without naming names again or judging, you asked how you could help them get back to a more of a godly lifestyle. He said what impressed him the most was your genuine empathy for the youth. After you left, JT thanked the Lord for a blessing for allowing him to at least play a small part in your life. Some of you have a lot of very intelligent peers in your class. Each of them has their very unique personalities. You've probably had to take some joking, even criticism about your high academic achievement, high standards, or even your dedication to a godly life. Do not waver from your walk with God. He will lead you through Liberty University, then medical school, and then only He knows. But it's going to be great. Thank you for making Caldwell Academy a better place. Now go and make the world a better place. Lastly, pray for these two young women. And if you forget what I said, just remember, marinate all summer, marin and summer. Thank you.
I believe they put me after him last year too, and I'm going to ask to be moved next year. That's a hard act to follow right there. I'm Polly, to the parents that don't know, Polly Weirda, and to you guys, congratulations again. I have so enjoyed seeing your whole class in the hallways for the last 4 years, and I know that the world is going to be a better place because of all of you. I'm very excited to talk about this first young lady, and she is going to be very surprised that I'm talking about her. But I really would love for Kendall Sampson to stand up. Kendall, even though I don't know you as well as some other people might, I chose to speak about you because I have watched and prayed for you this year. And I see a young lady who has a genuine desire to please her family, her teachers, her friends. And I've observed a gentle and quiet spirit in you and a humility, not needing to be the center of attention all the time. Even when you are tough, there is an underlying sweetness about you that just kind of comes through. I appreciate that you have always been respectful and polite to me, and I've seen you as you're growing and changing into someone who's going to do great, great things for God. Some of your teachers agreed with me. Ms. Valcavani told me how much she appreciated you, that you could be very focused and diligent, and that you improved considerably in your engagement in the class, responding to her recommendations with a good attitude, and that your serenity was a blessing to her in the senior class this year. Ms. Welch said that you've always had a genuinely sweet and gentle nature, that you don't like confrontation, that you try hard to get along with people, and that you have a servant's heart. She said that you were incredibly polite, that you always make her smile with a warm greeting, and that she thinks you're just beginning to realize the potential that God has got in you. In cheerleading, you were described as a steady, consistent team player who responded well to criticism. You pushed the team to strive for excellence as you developed into a strong and highly respected captain. God has given you many gifts. They're the ones you know about and the ones that you are still to discover. But as precious as you are, no one's perfect. We all stumble, and that's the whole point of why Jesus came. It's the ability to accept his grace and move on that defines us in the end. Several people commented to me on your ability to accept correction and discipline and grace. And that's why I've chosen humility as the character trait that I most see in you. Humility is the doorway between law and grace. Humility is the doorway into understanding how much God loves you. When we understand this, God can open whole new things to us. And I believe he's doing that for you, Kendall. I think as you grow, you'll discover new things about yourself, gifts of leadership and faith and mercy. And I think that you are just the seed of the woman that you're going to become. I have a verse that I would like to speak over you, and that's Jeremiah 31:3. The Lord appeared to us in the past, saying, I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness. I hope and pray that your confidence will always be in God's love for you. Congratulations. I am also very, very excited to speak about this next young woman because I have watched a metamorphosis in her over the last 4 years, and that is Freya. I adore this girl. Freya, in the last 4 years, I have watched you grow from an unsure, tearful, overwhelmed freshman who was homesick and so shaky in your new location that I actually did not think you were going to make it. You have grown into a strong, confident young woman who loves the Marvel movies, is a loyal friend, and has the respect of all of her classmates, her teachers, and her American family. The character trait that I have chosen for Freya is courage. Everyone imagine yourself at 15 or your child at 15, leaving your home, your family, your friends, your culture, your school, your language, and even your religion. This is what our international students do, and I am amazed by all of them. Kim Burkhalter, your American mom, said there are so many ways that you've adapted to this culture, from breakfast foods to conflict resolution, and that you've maintained your sense of being Chinese and taught us all a whole lot about what China is like. Debbie Childers says that you have a depth and strength of character that is exceptional for your age, and I would agree. I am so thankful that you took the leap to come here, that you gave us the honor of entering our world, and that you stuck it out through the hard times, even when I know you were frustrated by our upset with our culture or the Christianity that you were inserted into the middle of. Even when you were uncomfortable or irritated, you always remained respectful of us and our belief that God and Jesus are real and that they love you. I'm thankful that your classmates and teachers have been blessed by your incredible humor, your intensity, and your kindness. I don't think anyone will forget your ELC speech last year. The school has been blessed by your leadership and participation in student council, international ministry, and in ELC, and your wise and thoughtful ideas and thoughts about things that have come up in the R School have made a big difference in the last 3 or 4 years. I've learned a lot from watching you acclimate to our world, and I hope you will allow me this one thing. In some small way, what you've done here reminds me of what we believe Christ did when he left heaven to make his home with us. He experienced what we experienced, put up with our arrogance and our limited view of thinking, and brought us information about his world and his family. Like with you, those who got to know him got to love him. And it is my hope that as you grow into the woman you're becoming, that you will continue to look into the possibility that he loves you very much. I know you'll be successful wherever you go. You have already shown so much courage, strength, and fortitude. You will have many friends because you're a good friend, many opportunities because you never give up, very strong, and many successes because you're a talented, unique, and hard-working young woman. And I wish you all the happiness in the world as you go to Texas. We're going to miss you, especially me.
Garrett Martin. Your warm smile and calm demeanor bring peace into my room. Time spent with you is a welcome retreat from a hectic world. And oh, that accent.
I could listen to it all day. It's like music to my ears. Okay, I could stand up here and gush about you much longer than my time tonight permits. So I've chosen one particularly endearing aspect of your character, your servant's heart. Servitude's not a glamorous concept, and yet that is exactly what God has in mind for his people. Service is a great way to put aside our self-centeredness and deter our own sense of entitlement, and you have really embraced serving others. Your consistent choices to humble yourself and put others before you points them to God as you reflect Christ's love through your sacrifice. I really had a hard time choosing one example for tonight, so I decided to share one that I suspect is lesser known. The way you have sought out, cared for, and encouraged freshman boys, both last year and this year. You regularly stop by the freshman biology classes to check in on your boys. You bring them snacks, you admonish them to work hard, you encourage them to persevere, but most important, you invested in their lives with genuine care and concern. To an underclassman, attention from a big bad senior like you is beyond compare. Exactly what they need to inspire them to continue. Colossians 3:23 and 24 reads, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving." Garrett, you will probably never know the impact that you have through the way that you serve others. Continue to put the needs of others before your own, and be confident that God is using you for his own glory. Chocolate milk and frosted flakes will always belong to you, and I will look forward to the day when we can share them together again. If I never told you, you hugely encourage me. You sacrifice your time to support me. You show appreciation for my strengths, and you show grace for my weaknesses. You are truthful, reliable in keeping your word, and you are completely trustworthy. I hope you know how humbled I am by your consistent choice to be transparent with me. You've invited me into your life more deeply than I ever expected, and it has been an awesome privilege. Scripture consistently teaches us to not grow weary in doing good, and I would have had a greater difficulty maintaining that standard if it had not been for your encouragement. Paul had Barnabas and Silas, and this year I had Anne-Marie Crouch. What a beautiful picture of what the church should be. People looking to the needs of others, showing empathy and compassion. I desperately needed that support. Thank you for answering God's call to be the church in my life. So many study hall memories. Some silly, some serious, and oh, the epic banana gram Scrabble battles. But certainly the most meaningful conversations we had centered on how we both found ourselves in one place while the people we love are somewhere else. You know this year was a major adjustment for me, and I believe it would have been much more difficult without you. Philemon 1:7 reads, "Your love has given me great joy and encouragement because you have refreshed the hearts of the Lord's people." You have refreshed my heart. What a powerful tool. I'm confident that you will continue to bless and encourage those who have the privilege of calling you friend, and they'll be all the better for knowing you, just like me. Oliver Voorhees. I almost missed my last opportunity to work with you. Thank you, third period. Oliver, you have such a love of learning. It is rare that a topic of conversation comes up about a subject you haven't studied, and you are so eager to engage in good conversation. Emergence,
Radiosynthesis in fungi and all things Kurzgesagt are just a few topics that come to mind. And that's not even touching on all the research you shared related to your thesis. Okay, we science teachers, we always talk about building curiosity in our students, but you transcend curiosity and experience sheer awe for the natural world. This contrast is not trivial. It's the difference between I wonder if versus I marvel at. It's not surprising you're passionate to share all you discover. Anyone who stands in awe and wonder can't help but seek out others who will listen. This job that I love so much requires me to teach, but when we're together, more often than not, I'm the learner. Your passion inspires me to be better mother, better friend, better teacher. Simply put, I admire your care and commitment that you invest to everything you do. Loyal friend, diligent student, tenacious engineer, humble teacher, mouse whisperer. You are a young man who demonstrates the parable of the faithful servant from Luke 12:48. Whenever you find yourself in need of a hot cup of tea, I'll be ready, hopefully with fresh lemons, and I'm sure I'll be able to scare up some snacks to scratch that itch. Until that day, always remember how much I will miss our good conversations. And thank you. And just really briefly, to all three of my third period study buddies, thank you. You have made an indelible mark on my heart. Our 2018-2019 study hall will always be a cherished memory of my career. Thank you.
Crispin, Psalm 16, 8 and 9 states, I have set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand, I shall not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad, and my whole being rejoices. Joy is that supreme happiness that believers have as a fruit of the Holy Spirit. And Crispin, a quality many people see in you is joy. You express it in excitement for life and love of others. You have a jovial attitude, a happy demeanor, an infectious smile. You love people and you are well liked by others. Mrs. Fury even says you are charismatic. You're also very smart. All your teachers see that in you. You have the gifts of a sharp mind and the ability to learn. I always enjoyed your insights into literature in my class. And Mrs. K enjoyed the obscure facts you would contribute to her lecture. And Ms. Gillespie said that your thesis on healthcare was extensive and thorough and well articulated. Another thing many people see in you is your potential to be a leader. You are bright and winsome. And Mr. Greer, who really ought to be up here giving this, says, you know the truth and you know the Lord. He challenges you to use those gifts for the kingdom and to bless others. He wonders what God has in store for you. You have an amazing family and life. Born in East Africa as the youngest of 4 children, you must have faced many challenges moving here and coming to a new school. I remember when I first met you and I told you that you're built like a linebacker. Maybe you'll get that chance sometime. Every year when the juniors read Heart of Darkness, I think of you and your family when we read about Kinshasa, the town you're from. I'll also think about you every time we do the St. Crispin speech, which is your speech. You have an amazing mom and 3 successful siblings and lots of friends. You have a lot of gifts and talents. What does God have in store for you? Develop your leadership gifts, serve others. When you attend UNCG, I hope you will maintain your joyful spirit and enthusiasm for life. But always remember, not to find your joy in worldly things, but the joy of the Lord is your strength. Congratulations. Michael Marva. Like many people, including myself, see you as a gentleman. You are known for your kindness and sensitivity toward others. And this is a high compliment. Biblical gentleness is defined as sensitivity of disposition and kindness of behavior, founded on strength and prompted by love. Gentleness is undervalued and misunderstood in our culture. It sounds weak to some. In Isaiah 8:6, gentleness is associated with flowing water. And remember that a gently flowing stream can quickly become a roaring torrent. Gentleness is the opposite of harshness, wildness, or baseness. God spoke with Elijah in the wind and the earthquake, but also in a low, gentle whisper. Gentleness achieves more than harshness. Proverbs says, whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty. A gentle, self-controlled person brings calm and sound judgment to a crisis. You exhibit this quality in your life at Caldwell. I first saw it in you in the 9th grade when I first met you at Caldwell. You and your family had recently returned from Uganda, where your dad had served as a medical missionary for 2.5 years. That experience must have impacted you greatly. Living in a different culture and attending school where you did not know the language. As my student, you were consistent, quiet, serious, and hardworking. But I learned you have another side. Mrs. K calls you an unassuming jokester. She still laughs when she thinks how you would rearrange her books on the bookshelf without her knowing it. Now everybody knows about your sense of humor because of your joke of the day that you shared with us in the mornings with the PA announcements, and from several acting roles, one of which was as Bottom in Midsummer Night's Dream. Mr. Feeney said that everybody likes you. That's right. And Ms. Gillespie was very impressed with your thesis, Fantasy Literature in American Public Schools, which revealed your love of great books, one of which is the Bible. Your sister says you read it regularly. I was impressed when she told me that you love the Lord. You have big plans for your future, to attend NC State and study to be an architect. I want to encourage you to maintain your gentle spirit. Congratulations. Sam Gladden. Sam, you're probably familiar with the story of Peter and John in Acts 4. They were arrested for preaching the gospel and were brought before the high priest and all the Jewish leaders. The text says, now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were uneducated, common men, they were astonished, and they recognized they had been with Jesus. Notice that though they were considered common and uneducated, they spoke with boldness. Where did this boldness come from? The text says they had been with Jesus. He is the source of true boldness. I and others see boldness in you. Boldness involves both courage and confidence. You exhibit the courage to speak truth to power, to stand up for what you believe. In the 9th grade, you broke your foot doing something that was bold, and you couldn't play basketball that year. You went on, however, to have 3 successful seasons. And you and I had some conversations when you spoke up for what you believed. I remember a conversation about your struggle whether to actually read all the King's Men or just the Spark Notes to pass the quiz. I appreciated your honesty. You are a seeker of truth. Mr. Feeney, this looks like a little thing, but he remembers at one of the retreats, seeing you sitting at the front, paying really close attention to everything the speaker was saying. Maybe others might not have been, but you were. Mrs. Gay calls you the real deal, an athlete, star student, and a young man who really loves his family and lives out his beliefs. We all encourage you to never shy away from speaking the truth. You have been a very successful student, so much so that you'll attend Davidson College in the fall, where both your parents went to school, and you plan to study chemistry and eventually become a doctor. According to Ms. Gillespie, your thesis was a well-researched and compelling argument against the legalization of euthanasia. Yes, Sam, you're a bold young man, but remember that the world offers a counterfeit boldness. The true source of boldness is what the Jewish leaders saw in Peter and John. They recognized they had been with Jesus. Congratulations.
In preparing to write what I'm about to share with you, I asked multiple teachers to describe you in a few words or phrases, and this is what they said. Kind, sensitive, a gentle spirit, has a quiet strength, not afraid to ask questions, and is always polite. One of the character qualities that I see in you is sensitivity. Sensitivity is defined as exercising your senses so that you can perceive the true spirit and emotions of those around you. Often we equate being sensitive or emotional with weakness. I've seen you cry a time or two, as I'm sure lots of us have. And I've also seen you apologize for crying and seem to feel bad about it. And I want to encourage you to remember that having and expressing emotions is not weakness. Emotions are God-given. He is the one who created us to be feeling creatures. Our wise Creator embedded emotions in our humanity to serve a useful purpose in our lives. Just as our minds enable us to think and our wills enable us to choose, so our emotions enable us to respond. My prayer is that you recognize that your sensitivity is a gift from the Lord, and you do not stifle your emotions, but instead use them to respond well to those who are hurting and encourage others to do the same. A second character quality I see in you is gentleness. Your quiet, soft-spoken presence is a blessing to those around you. You are kind, you avoid conflict, and you are helpful to your classmates and others. Gentleness can also be equated with weakness, but to be truly gentle shows great strength. Gentleness is a compassionate approach toward others' weakness and limitations. A gentle person still speaks truth, sometimes even painful truth, but in doing so regards their tone so the truth can be well received. Puritan leader Jonathan Edwards called gentleness the Christian spirit. Edwards said, all those who are truly godly are real disciples of Christ have a gentle spirit in them. The Bible goes out of its way to make clear the gentleness of Jesus. Colossians 3:12 says, therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves in compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. And Philippians 4:5 says, let your gentleness be evidence to all, the Lord is near. As Lee Caldwell, I pray that you are proud of your sensitivity and gentleness, and that you always remember that these are gifts that the Lord has blessed you with. I also pray that you use these character qualities to love others and lead them towards the path of salvation. We're going to miss you.
I think I'm the only dialectic teacher standing up here tonight, but a former job that I held was supervising Chinese students and tutoring them in a rhetoric school. So Kevin Guo, there you are. I'm glad you came tonight. My first introduction to you was through an online application. You described yourself as loving cooking, guitar, and basketball. At least 2 of the 3 were accurate. But I remember reading this and thinking, what a great guy. Who would not want to have this student come and live with them? But even your impressive application could not have prepared me for the total package of Kevin. There are so many qualities I appreciate about you, but first and foremost is joy. You are one of those people who wears a continual smile and spreads joy wherever you go. At our new Oasis gatherings, you have always been the energy source who keeps the conversation lively and makes everyone laugh. And Kevin, because you live life with enthusiasm, you put other people at ease, and you invite them into the fun. Your joyful spirit, ability to connect with people are gifts that help you build cultural bridges, and I believe will benefit you in the future. I also have a huge respect for your determination and tenacity. It was my privilege to tutor you your first year, 10th grade, when you were in literature, learning literature and the history of Western civilization. You had a steep mountain to climb that year, learning English, understanding the American and French revolutions, reading The Tale of Two Cities were just a few of the challenges you had to overcome. And you had to learn about Christianity in order to recognize Christ figures in literature and understand why people would fight for religious freedom. How amazing at the end of that first year when you actually made the honor roll and found yourself loving the book like this. I have also loved your playful side, your willingness to play guitar and sing in front of the entire dialectic and rhetoric school, your amazing capacity to eat whole garlic cloves, your love of shopping, your inexplicable love of horror movies, and of course your desire to educate people about Chinese culture and perspective. I have learned so much from you. It was a huge sacrifice for your family to send you so far away. You who generate so much happiness around you. But Kevin, your investment in your education honors your family's sacrifice. For 3 years, you've been a part of the Caldwell family. And I hope and I believe you've been positively benefited by the education you've received here, as well as the relationships with your friends, teachers, and the care of your host family, the Whites. But I want you to know you are more than a joy-filled, fun-loving Chinese student to me. You are Yangting Guo, uniquely made to hold this time and place in history, and we at Caldwell have been privileged to hold these last 3 years with you. And I think I speak for your teachers and your administrators when I say, Kevin, everything we have done for you, everything we've poured into you has been because of the love of Christ poured into us. We love you. I love you because Christ has loved me. And I hope that's made a difference in your life. I wish you God's deepest blessings of your future endeavors at Penn State. Remember, you're always part of our Caldwell family.
Bree Owens.
Here she is.
Bree, the character quality I've chosen for you is boldness, which is confidence that what I have to say or do is true and right and just in the sight of God. Acts 4:29 says, "Now, Lord, consider their threats, and enable your servants to speak your word with great boldness." On my favorite character quality chart, boldness is presented as the opposite of fearfulness. Several times this year, as I listened to classroom chatter in the moments before or after class, or when I was coming around to check work, I heard you saying things about how concerned you were about your thesis presentation. I remember one time in particular, you were talking about the defense portion of the thesis. You were worried about the panel asking you questions that were outside the scope of your research. I stopped what I was doing and we talked a little bit. I tried to tell you that you knew more than you thought you knew. I said the panelists just wanted to see if you could make connections between your research and the real-world questions, and that making those connections was what you've been trained to do here at Caldwell. You looked skeptical. Fast forward to the day you first practiced your presentation in class. Your presentation was definitely above average for a first run-through. You were confident and well-prepared. And then came the questioning. Josh asked you the type of question that only Josh can ask. You looked him in the eye and coolly answered him in a way that was beautiful to behold. I was amazed. You took your fear and uncertainty and turned it into boldness. As I considered what to say to you today, that picture kept playing over in my head, and I remembered other times in your freshman year when you were worried about tests or orals or the many unknowns of that first year in high school, and I began to see a pattern.
You may approach new experiences with an "I can't do this" attitude, but when the experience actually arrives, you attack it with boldness and confidence. I think that that's a life-winning combination. The apostles in the verse I read from Acts wanted to speak with boldness, and they prayed that God would enable them to do so. But did you notice the first part of the verse? They said, "Now, Lord, consider their threats." They didn't go blindly forward without considering the scary possibilities. In fact, they asked God to consider the frightening threats made against them, but they also asked for boldness because they knew they were going to go forward in spite of the scary possibilities. That's what I've seen in you. I hope that you will continue to be bold, Bree, as you go on to college. The world can be a scary place, but life is an adventure. And with Jesus to turn to, you can always be bold. We will miss your bold and feisty spirit, Bree. Brendan. There you are. Brendan, the character quality that I chose for you is kindness. The quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. And the verse is Micah 6:8. He has told you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? I knew that the character quality that I wanted to celebrate in you was kindness. When I looked up the verse, though, I had to kind of chuckle at the irony, because if you notice, the verse was from Micah, and you weren't exactly kind to Micah in the thesis presentation, so. And I was shocked. I was drawn to you right away when you came into my class in 9th grade. First, it was your name, because as I told you, at the time I have a grandson named Brendan. He's named for St. Brendan the Navigator, an Irish monk of the 5th century, whom the Irish believed was the first European to land in America. And you know how I love all things Irish and medieval, so I had warm, fuzzy feelings when I first saw your name on my roster. In this case, all my warm, fuzzy feelings were more than justified. And as I got to know you, I found you a worthy bearer of the name. The second thing that drew me to you was the kindness you extend to your classmates, teachers, and younger students. You are quiet, but you have a knack for noticing those who are hurting, and the ability to act toward them in a way that is not flashy or attention-seeking, but that lets them know you care, that you see them, that you are on their side. I've enjoyed so much watching you play the saxophone through your years at Caldwell. You play with emotion and feeling that comes across to your audience. Music does not seem to be something that you do just for the fine arts credit or for extracurricular purposes. And I suppose that's why you ended up with music as your thesis topic. I was also excited to see your name on the roll for my art history class in your 10th grade year. I was able to get to know you a little better in that smaller class, and I experienced your kindness personally as I stumbled my way through the first year of teaching a new course. As you move on to college at UNCG, I know that you'll take that kind and gentle spirit with you. This world needs more kind and gentle spirits, Brendan. You have so much to give. Go and give, but come back and bless us from time to time as well. Thank you for being kind in an unkind world. I love you. The senior recognition ceremony is something that we've been doing since our first graduating class in 2002. And it was actually the brainchild of one of the mothers in that class. And she wanted it to be sort of a commissioning sort of ceremony. And so at the end, we always light candles. If you'll notice, there's a candle over here that's lit. And I'm going to ask the seniors to stand, and they'll come forward and get a candle and light it, and then you're going to walk up on the stage and across, and we have some of the choir members who are going to come and sing for us. And after their song, and when they are all standing on stage, Mr. Cox is going to come and close us.
What a wonderful night to celebrate our 42 graduating seniors. They are indeed praiseworthy, but they are praiseworthy only because the Lord our God who created them is praiseworthy. We're going to have another night of celebration tomorrow night, and if we want to have time to get out of here and get to Lawndale Baptist Church in time for graduation, I think it's time to close in prayer. So let's pray. Oh Lord our God, our Heavenly Father, I am thankful, and may all of us in this place be thankful for these 42 seniors. Lord, I love each and every one of them, and we know that you do too, Lord. You have fearfully and wonderfully made them. My prayer, Lord, is that we will continue to celebrate them this week and tomorrow night. And that most of all, that we might celebrate you, the Creator of all good things. Lord, I pray that these seniors will pursue lives seeking wisdom, and that they will pursue lives of virtue, goodness, and moral courage. Lord, I pray that you will direct their paths. I'm thankful for the teachers, and the parents and the grandparents and all of us here in this room that have been given the great privilege to play a role in the journey of these seniors. The opportunity and the privilege we've had to pour into them. Lord, so I'm thankful for this night. I'm thankful for the relationships that we've had with them. And I pray that you will go with them and go with us until we meet again tomorrow evening at Lawndale Baptist Church. In the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Thank you, seniors. Did everybody get their pictures? I guess you can come and get your pictures and then we're dismissed.